Hi, everyone. It's Gerry Dulac along with Brian Batko. We are here at Saint Vincent College in Latrobe. The Steelers are actually out on the field right now. Our Steeler update is brought to you by Savinas, Kane, and Gallucci. Mesothelioma and asbestos lawyers for over 85 years. Call them now for a free consultation. Brian, the big news already this morning. I don't want to say it's major news, but it's significant. They re-signed Markus Golden, who played 16 games last year at outside linebacker, had 4 sacks. This is a guy who has 51 career sacks. He had 3 seasons in which he had more than 10 or more sacks. So he's a veteran guy who can bring that outside pressure. And it kind of looks like that just secures who that fourth outside linebacker is going to be.
Yeah, Jerry, I don't take that to be an indictment of Nick Herbig, and we know T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith are the top dogs there. But I just think kind of similar to last year, right around this time they brought in Quan Alexander for the inside linebacker position. I don't think they're really thrilled with what they're seeing from those down the liners at outside linebacker right now. Guys like Kyron Johnson, Jeremiah Moon, and just yesterday actually David Perales was injured, and not that he was going to make the team, but it created a spot at that position. And now they probably figured, let's go get Golden while he's still out there. We know what he can do. He's got that college roommate, best friend bond with position coach Denzel Martin here in Pittsburgh. So it's just a matter of time. Now he's here. There's no question about how the pecking order is going to go there. I think it'll just be him and Herbig maybe splitting those reps, but either way, fortifying their depth at a most significant spot.
Yeah, I think that unlike last year, I think their plan this year is that Nick Herbig will be the first guy off the bench. Obviously, they really like this guy. We saw him yesterday working with James Harrison, trying to get the feel of that spin move, or
Do
at
you
least
think
that
Omar
underneath
Khan
rip
called
move.
James before he called Markus Golden
Right,
and said,
exactly.
"Do you want to get back out
Who
here?"
would be glad to probably re-sign.
Yeah.
So I think that's the plan with Nick Herbig. I'm not surprised they re-signed Markus Golden. I'm just a little surprised they did it now. I actually thought Jeremiah Moon has shown something. I thought this move could be coming. I just didn't think it would happen right away. I thought they'd give these guys a little bit more time to show something.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the timing of it, but maybe there was something going on behind the scenes with Golden. Maybe he was getting interest from
Right,
other
right.
teams, and I sort of I wonder will the Steelers make a similar move at slot corner if Beanie Bishop and Grayland Arnold and those guys don't continue to keep that arrow pointed up. Cam Sutton is obviously suspended for the first 8 games of this season, so that's another spot on defense where you sort of wonder, are they going to need somebody to step in at all? But yeah, at least for right now, Markus Golden, they enjoyed what they got out of him last year. You hope he still has something left in the tank at, what is he, 33, 34
Yeah,
at this
this
point.
is his 10th year. Yeah, I think the Steelers are they have their fingers crossed with that slot corner. They're hoping they could find someone to kind of just hold the spot until Cam Sutton returns for the second half of the season, which they feel, of course, is the obviously more important part of the season. So that's kind of, I don't want to say their ace in the hole, but that's part of their plan. But yeah, we've seen a lot of Beanie Bishop there. We're going to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought somebody else in, if they brought Chandon Sullivan back. But I think they know, at least they know they have Cam Sutton coming back
Right.
later.
Yeah. Sullivan's kind of in that same tier, I would say, as Golden. I don't think that this means all of a sudden they're going to go back and start the reunion tour with Patrick Peterson or anybody like that. But yeah, clearly outside linebacker depth was a question mark coming into camp. And after 5 or 6 practices, the Steelers figured, let's go ahead and make a move. As far as today's practice early on, 7 shots, the defense, surely motivated by the Golden signing, strikes back a little bit against the Steelers offense that bullied them around at times on Wednesday. They won this one 5-2. The first teamers were 2-2 against each other, but once Kyle Allen came in there as the third quarterback, he couldn't get much going. Still no Russell Wilson in those live periods from what we've seen, Jerry.
Brian, when you look at the defense, for the most part, through 8 days of training camp, I feel like the offense has dominated the defense. It was a little different, as you mentioned, in 7 shots today. Cam Heyward back on the field,
Yep.
sat out yesterday. T.J. Watt back on the
That
field.
helps the first team
Yes, it
defense
does.
as well.
After he sat out yesterday. But I think that there's no question. The biggest question mark on this defense is that defensive line. They have a lot of hope that Cam Heyward can return to his former form at age 35 and coming off that injury-riddled season. And they have a lot of hope that Keanu Benton, who was a dominant player as a rookie, can make that all-important second step and be even better. From everything we've seen, that certainly appears to be the case. But you go beyond that. Isaiah Loudermilk, he just hasn't done what they thought he might. And the big question mark is going to be DeMarvin Leal. Even Terrell Austin, excuse me, said yesterday that he had some ups and downs last year. Mostly they were downs after a successful rookie season. They had a lot of hope for him, and he didn't make that jump. But they're going to be watching him because they would need him because they need some infusion of youth in that offensive line, and that's the next area. They have to pay attention to that defensive line. To me, over the next 2 years, the way they've paid attention to the offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. DeMarvin Leal even showed some glimpses of what he could do early in practice, albeit before the pads came on. Somebody like him at his position, they want to see it when practice gets more physical, more chippy. That's what tomorrow night's going to bring too, Gerry, at Latrobe Memorial Stadium. The Friday night lights practice. The fans are kind of right on top of these guys. I think the O linemen and D linemen certainly relish that opportunity as well. It's not a game. It's more game-like because of the stands and because of the bright lights on these guys. That'll probably be the second round of all the backs on backers and the one-on-one drills with O linemen and D linemen. So that's going to be a fun practice Friday night for folks who are making the trip out to Latrobe. And, it'll give us a chance to continue to gauge the DeMarvin Leals of the world, the Isaiah Loudermilks of the world, the young offensive linemen who, made a name for themselves Wednesday with their willingness to go in there and hit anything moving once they saw Justin Fields take a tumble. So, yeah, I mean, Troy Fautanu, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, they got to continue stacking these days of showing what they can do. Today's only a half-padded practice, not quite as physical, at least not yet. We'll see if any more melees break out, if it has spillover from Wednesday into Thursday as guys get a little frustrated, get a little hot under the collar, literally and figuratively out here on day 7 of camp.
Yeah, that's the thing with when you have those fights or those skirmishes and those melees. The coaches, they don't mind them. I'm sure, even though Mike Tomlin was being dismissive of them yesterday, I'm sure afterward in the film room or wherever he was, I'm sure they secretly loved it, but he's not going to say it. The problem is it can, if it continues, become disruptive to practice. And even TJ Watt said that yesterday. I have to think for the most part, unless it's something egregious, that'll be the last time we see any of that.
And TJ said he's not going. He wasn't on the field for that play. Obviously, he sat out yesterday, but didn't even have his helmet on. He said, I'll take 1 or 2 steps to survey the scene, but I'm not going anywhere near that brawl, especially if I don't have a helmet. But the younger guys don't always think that way. We saw Joey Porter Jr. was in there swinging. I mean, he lost his mind for a minute there. People were trying to make a name for themselves, but that is a delicate line to walk, to balance when you're competing, but you're also still teammates at the end of the day. The last thing you need is any bad blood, and certainly even worse than that would be somebody at the bottom of that pile gets rolled up on, somebody throwing a punch breaks a hand or a finger on a helmet. I mean, that would just be a senseless, silly way to lose somebody at this stage of the training camp process. And tell you what, Gerry, that is something that they got to curb a little bit more than usual this year because they have that joint practice coming up with the Buffalo Bills. And while it's still a ways away, don't let anything sort of linger from now until then. Maybe in a good way, get it all out of your system right now in a controlled environment instead of all those guys from Buffalo on the other side of you.
Just so people know that joint practice with the Buffalo Bills will be at Acrisure Stadium. It will not be here at Latrobe, and it, of course, will precede the Steelers' second preseason game. The Steelers, of course, Friday night lights tomorrow night at Latrobe Memorial Stadium, and then they'll be back here Saturday and Sunday, off Monday, and then back on the field on Tuesday. For Brian Batko, I'm Gerry Dulac. You're watching Post-Gazette.com.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.